Every other film I have made on this channel is about a promise somebody else made you. A pension is a promise. An annuity is a promise. A bond fund is a stack of promises. A bank deposit is a promise. Medicare Advantage is a promise reset every September by an insurance company's margin. Today I want to talk about the one thing on your balance sheet that is not a promise at all. Your own work. It has no counterparty. Nobody else's refinancing schedule sits underneath it. No committee assumes a rate of return on it. No state guarantee association caps it. It is the only asset you own that cannot be repriced by somebody else's balance sheet, and it is the one that essentially every financial conversation in America ignores. There is a reason for that, and I am going to be blunt about it later in this episode because it is not a flattering reason. 3 claims today. First, for a person between 60 and 70, earned income is mathematically the most powerful lever available. More powerful than any change of allocation, any product, any fund. Second, the labor market for people over 60 is not the labor market you left. It is narrower and it is real, and 11 industries account for most of the doors that are genuinely open. I will name all 11, and I will tell you the structural reason each one hires. Third, and this is the part that will annoy some people, the reason nobody has explained the arithmetic to you is that nobody earns a commission on you working 2 more years. Fact 1. Labor force participation among Americans aged 65 and over is roughly double what it was in the mid-1980s, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects older workers to remain the fastest-growing segment of the workforce. Fact 2. Claiming Social Security at 70 rather than 62 produces a monthly benefit substantially larger, on the order of 70% higher, and that larger figure is inflation-indexed and paid for life. Fact 3. Between full retirement age and 70, delayed retirement credits accrue at 8% per year, not 8% once, 8% per year permanently on an inflation-adjusted government-backed income stream. Fact 4. Your benefit is calculated from your highest 35 years of indexed earnings. If you have fewer than 35 years of earnings, the missing years are entered as zeros. A single additional working year can replace a zero, and that changes the benefit permanently. Fact 5. If you claim before full retirement age and keep working, benefits above an annual earnings limit are withheld. $1 withheld for every $2 earned above the limit. Withheld, not confiscated. Your benefit is recomputed upward at full retirement age to account for what was held back. Almost nobody knows the second half of that sentence. Fact 6. Age discrimination in employment is unlawful for workers over 40 under federal law. It is also, by every audit study conducted on the question, measurably present in hiring. Both of those statements are true at the same time, and you need to hold both. Those are the coordinates. Here is the mechanism, and it is the mirror image of everything else on this channel. I call it the last unpromised asset. Every asset I have warned you about depends on somebody else's balance sheet surviving a repricing. Your labor does not. It is generated by you, priced by a local market, and paid in cash. There is no maturity date on it, no assumed rate of return behind it, no cap on its guarantee, because there is no guarantee. There is just the work. Now here is why it is more powerful than people believe, and I want to do the arithmetic slowly. Take somebody who is 63, with $400,000 saved, planning to draw about 4% a year, $16,000 on top of Social Security. Now suppose that person works part-time for 3 more years, say $25,000 a year. 3 things happen simultaneously, and only the first one is obvious. 1. They earn $75,000 over the 3 years, obvious. 2. They do not withdraw from the portfolio during those 3 years. That is another $48,000 left invested, still compounding, and critically not sold during whatever those particular 3 years due to markets. 3. They delay claiming Social Security by 3 years. Between full retirement age and 70, that is roughly 8% a year, permanent and inflation indexed. Now put the third one in dollars because it is the one nobody feels. On a benefit of $2,400 a month, 3 years of delay is worth several $100s a month for the rest of a life that may run another 25 years, indexed backed by statute with no counterparty. Ask what it would cost to buy that. To purchase an inflation-adjusted lifetime income of that size on the open market at 70 from an insurance company would cost a six-figure sum, and it would arrive as a promise from a carrier whose portfolio you would then have to go and read the annual statement of. You can buy the same income by working 3 years, and the version you buy that way has no carrier behind it. That is the mechanism. Earned income at 60 plus does not merely add money. It buys guaranteed index lifetime income at a price no product can match, and it does it by not being a promise from anybody. So why has nobody sat you down and drawn this? Because there is no product attached to it. There is no fee, no commission, no spread, no assets under management. An advisor who tells you to work 2 more years and delay claiming has just given you the single most valuable piece of advice available to you and earned precisely nothing for it. I am not alleging a conspiracy. I am pointing at an incentive. And on this channel, we follow the incentives. Now the 11. And these are not chosen from a feel-good list of encore careers. They are chosen by structure, and the test has 2 parts. 1. Does the industry hire on demonstrated demand for older workers rather than in spite of age? 2. Is it funded by demographics or statute rather than by credit? That second test is the one that connects this episode to the rest of the slate. An industry funded by borrowing has to refinance in the same window as everything else I have warned you about. An industry funded by an aging population or by a public budget does not. Group 1, demographic demand. These grow because the population is aging. 1. Home health and personal care, the largest single source of new jobs in the American economy by count, driven entirely by demography, and one where being older is frequently an advantage rather than a liability, with clients, with families, and with the agencies doing the hiring. Entry training is measured in weeks, not years. 2. Allied health support, not nursing, the layer underneath it. Medical assistance, patient transport, sterile processing, phlebotomy, scheduling, front desk clinical administration, short credentialing, chronic shortage, and hospitals hire year-round because they are never fully staffed. 3. Senior services and care navigation, activity coordination, transport, care management support, benefits navigation, community program delivery. This is the one where 60 is an asset that a 25-year-old cannot manufacture because the client population trusts a peer. Group 2, statutory funding. These are paid out of budgets, not borrowings. 4. School support, paraprofessional and classroom aid, bus driver, food service, substitute teaching, crossing guard, after-school programs. Districts are structurally short of all of these. The schedule aligns with a life that has grandchildren in it, and in many districts, the role carries benefits. 5. Local and state government administration. Clerks, elections administration, permitting, licensing, court support, records, inspections. Government hiring is slow and procedural, which cuts against you on speed and for you on age, because a process-driven hire is far harder to bias than a 15-minute culture interview. 6. Libraries, parks, and municipal facilities, lower pay, high stability, frequently part-time by design, and, a point rarely made, these are among the few workplaces left that are genuinely intergenerational. Group 3, where the trades are losing more people than they gain. 7. Skilled trades and trade support. The trades are retiring faster than they are recruiting, and the shortage is worst in the roles that require judgment rather than knees. Estimating, inspection, scheduling, dispatch, quality control, apprenticeship, instruction. If you spent 30 years in a trade, the industry needs your judgment even where it no longer needs your back. 8. Utilities and infrastructure support. Meter and field inspection, safety compliance, control room, permitting, vegetation management coordination, regulated, funded through rate cases rather than credit markets, and among the most age-neutral hiring in the economy because the work is proceduralized. Group 4, where the experience itself is the product. 9. Insurance and financial services, back office, claims, licensing, compliance, underwriting support, agency operations. Understand the irony and use it. The industries this channel spends its time analyzing are also industries that will hire you, and they hire experience because a claim file handled by somebody who has seen 1,000 of them costs the company less. 10. Tax preparation and seasonal financial services. Trainable in a season, intensely seasonal, and structurally biased toward mature workers because the clientele is mature. A 4-month working year is a real and underused pattern. Group 5, where you set the terms. 11. Contract, fractional, and consulting work in the field you already left. The single highest paid option on this list and the one people dismiss fastest. Your former industry does not want to hire a 64-year-old full-time. It will very often pay a 64-year-old a professional day rate for 2 days a week because that is a budget line rather than a headcount, and budget lines are approved by a different person than headcount is. 11 industries. One criterion. Every one of them is funded by demography or by statute rather than by credit, which means they are the industries least exposed to the repricing the rest of this channel is about. Section 4 of the Retirement Reset Blueprint has the income worksheet. What 3 more years of part-time earnings is actually worth in your situation, with the delayed claiming credit and the 35-year computation both included. Most people are surprised by the total. Link is in the description. Now, I want to make the strongest possible case against everything I have just said, and I want to make it properly, because a great many people watching are going to be shouting at the screen by now, and they are right to. Age discrimination is real. It is documented. Identical resumes with older graduation dates receive fewer callbacks, and that is not a feeling, it is a measured result. Older workers who lose a job stay unemployed longer, and a significant share of those who return do so at materially lower pay. The phrase for it is involuntary retirement, and it describes a very large number of people who did not choose to stop working at 61. Health is not a choice. A body that did physical work for 40 years does not simply carry on. Caregiving is not a choice either. An enormous share of people in their 60s are caring for a spouse or a parent, and that is unpaid full-time work that no employer schedules around, and the honest version of the pay point. The jobs on my list mostly do not pay what your career job paid. Some pay a third of it. Telling somebody who earned $90,000 that they can drive a school bus is not a plan. It is a demotion with a cheerful voice on it. All of that is true. I will not soften any of it. But notice precisely what it argues against. It argues against assuming everyone can work. It does not argue against knowing the arithmetic, because the arithmetic does not require the career job back. It does not require full-time. A $25,000 year, a bus route, 3 days at a clinic desk, a tax season does most of the work in that calculation I did earlier, because the largest single component was never the wage. It was the delayed claiming credit and the withdrawals you did not have to take. The Steelman defeats work longer as a slogan. It does not defeat here is what one part-time year is worth, so that you can decide with the real number in front of you. Here is the fact that the standard retirement conversation cannot accommodate. The best guaranteed inflation-indexed lifetime income product available to an American at 62 is not sold by anybody. It is delayed Social Security, purchased with earned income, at roughly 8% a year of permanent uplift between full retirement age and 70. No insurance company will sell you an inflation-indexed lifetime annuity on those terms. They cannot. The pricing does not work, and where inflation-adjusted annuities are offered at all, the initial income is dramatically lower for the same premium. So the single best product in the American retirement market is one that no salesman can sell, no platform can custody, and no advisor can bill on. And now look at where the industry's attention actually goes. The advertising, the seminars, the free steak dinners, the glossy brochures, they go to the products with a spread in them. Not one of them goes to the strategy with no fee attached. That is not a scandal, and I am not accusing anybody of fraud. It is an incentive operating exactly as incentives operate in full public view. But it does mean that the most valuable retirement advice in America is structurally unadvertised, and that a person who does not go looking for it will simply never be told. Japan, the country furthest ahead of us on this demographic curve, did not solve it with products. It solved it with work. Employment rates among Japanese over 65 are far above the American level, supported by a network of local centers that place older workers into part-time community and municipal work. It is not glamorous and the pay is modest, and it has done more for Japanese retirement security than any financial innovation of the same period. The United Kingdom. Britain abolished the default retirement age, removing an employer's ability to compel retirement at a fixed birthday. Participation among older workers rose. The predicted harm to younger workers' employment, the lump of labor argument, which says an old worker keeping a job denies a young one, did not materialize, because it has never materialized anywhere it has been tested. America after 2008. The wave of what came to be called unretirement. Hundreds of thousands of people who had stopped working went back, initially out of necessity after portfolios fell, and the research that followed found something that surprised the people who conducted it. A substantial share reported better health and lower rates of depression than matched peers who stayed retired. The lesson from all three is the same. Work after 60 is not a failure of retirement planning. In the countries and cohorts that are furthest along, it is the plan. Prediction 1. Labor force participation among Americans aged 65 and over will be higher at the end of 2027 than it was at the end of 2025. Prediction 2. Healthcare and social assistance will account for a larger share of net new employment for workers over 60 than any other sector across 2026 and 2027 combined. Prediction 3. Before the end of 2027, at least 3 Fortune 500 employers will publicly launch a formal phased retirement or returnship program aimed explicitly at workers over 60, and they will do it for labor supply reasons, not for public relations reasons. What would prove me wrong? If participation among the over 65s falls for 2 consecutive years and the over 60 unemployment duration gap widens materially, then the door I am describing is closing rather than opening, and I will say so. First, your Social Security statement. Free, online, yours. It shows your estimated benefit at 62, at full retirement age, and at 70. Look at the gap between the first and the third. That gap is the price of the decision. Second, the earnings record on that same statement. Scroll to the year-by-year list and count the zeros. Every zero in your highest 35 is a year that is dragging your benefit down, and one more working year replaces one of them. Third, the Occupational Outlook Handbook. The Bureau of Labor Statistics publishes projected growth, typical entry education, and median pay for every occupation in the country, free. Cross-reference My 11 against your own metropolitan area. And fourth, your state's older worker program. Most states operate a federally funded community service employment program for lower-income older workers that places people into paid community roles and pays for the training. It is chronically undersubscribed because almost nobody has heard of it. All 4 of those, with the links and the income worksheet, are in the blueprint. Free, in the description. Run the numbers before you decide you are finished working, not after. And now the personal turn. I know how this episode sounds to some of you. You did your 40 years. Nobody should have to go back. I agree. I want to be completely clear about that. What I am describing is not a moral instruction, and it is certainly not a judgment. It is a lever, and my only argument is that you should know its exact size before you decide not to pull it. Because here is the asymmetry that runs through this entire channel. Every other asset you own can be repriced by somebody else. By a refinancing, by an assumption, by a coverage limit, by an insurance company's margin arithmetic, your work cannot. It is the only line on your balance sheet where the counterparty is you. And the 11 industries I named are, almost by definition, the 11 least exposed to the repricing I have spent this entire slate describing. That is not a coincidence. That is the same test applied from the other direction. So ask the 3 questions. Who owes me money, and what is behind their promise? What can I earn, and what is that worth in delayed claiming? And which of those 2 numbers have I actually calculated? Most people have calculated the first, and never once calculated the second. That is not panic. That is preparation. And preparation is the only thing that has ever protected anybody. Which is exactly why I built the Retirement Reset Blueprint, the counterparty map, the income worksheet, the documents to pull, and the 4 indicators to track every quarter. Link is in the description and pinned in the top comment. You do not need a new career, you need the real number. Remember this, everything else in your retirement is a promise somebody else made. Your work is the only one you make yourself, and it is the only one nobody can reprice. I am Professor Jiang. Thank you for watching. Now, I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments which of the 11 you have actually worked in since 60. And if you went back after retiring, tell the people reading this whether you regret it. Your answer will be worth more to them than anything I said today.